Let's take you to Abuja, where the Independent National Electoral Commission has extended the time for the collection of PVCs by 8 days, which ends January 29, 2023. The Commission expressed satisfaction with the turnout of registered voters and the surge in the number of collected PVCs across the country. INEC says in some states, as many as 100,000 PVCs were collected in the last 5 days since the devolution to ward level started on Saturday, 6 January. As a result of this extension, there is a consequential adjustment of the collection by location. INEC says all resident electoral commissioners have been directed to ensure that no such practices occur nationwide and take immediate disciplinary action against violators. The Commission has printed more than 30 million PVCs for all new valid registrants as well as applicants for transfer or replacement of cards. While I still have Niyi Saliu in the studio, while Executive Director, Center for Public Accountability, Olufemi Lawson, joins me now via Zoom. Welcome, Olufemi.
Good evening, Jessica.
All right, so let's quickly tackle these questions. INEC has been commended for listening to public outcry and extending the deadline. What do you make of the response of Nigerians in ensuring they participate in the process?
Well, it's commendable that INEC has extended this by 1 week. It is commendable that we now have extra 7 days for Nigerians to pick up their PVC. But one thing is that beyond the extension of these dates, there must be more of sensitization for Nigerians on the need to take advantage of these 7 days. We have always said this, that there is this tendency for the average Nigerians, especially when it has to do with issues of registration for important processes like election, to wait for the 11th hour. A lot of people who are waiting to pick up their PVC will be waiting for the last 3 days of this process. And I think it will be very unfair if, having extended this to 29th of January, we do not have enough people taking advantage of this period to pick up their PVC. Then INEC would have been seen to have fulfilled all righteousness and have satisfied its own part of the bargain. And we must always remember that INEC activities are guided by the guidelines towards the general election. So it's beyond the fact that people are willing to pick it or not, irrespective of the number of people who are willing to pick up their PVC. INEC will have to work within the stipulated time, accommodated within its guideline, to distribute PVC. And I'm sure Nigerians will take advantage of what is available between now and January 29 to pick up their PVC, rather than waiting for this usual late hour rush to do the right thing.
All right, Olufemi, I don't know about you, but I just recently collected my PVC, and I'm actually in so much agreement with INEC when they say that hundreds of thousands of PVC have been collected in some states since the Commission took the collection of PVCs to wards. What do you make of this initiative?
You see, the decentralization of the collection process has really helped, from the local government level now to registration area and wards. It has increased the access that Nigerians have to pick up their PVC, because INEC have had to engage more hands in ensuring the distribution of this PVC. So this has been very helpful, and that is why you could see an increase in the number of people who have picked up their PVC in the last few days that this decentralization happened. And this INEC has also extended for additional 7 days before the eventual closure on 29. So I think people, INEC has done well in this regard, and more Nigerians have been able to pick up their PVC because of this, decentralization of the collection process. But I will keep saying that we need to sensitize Nigerians the more, and I want to commend TVC and a lot of other media organizations who have been sensitizing Nigerians on the importance of picking up their PVC, because that's the only key you have to participate in the general election come February and March 2023.
All right. You know very well that election is almost here. And INEC, as well as every Nigerian, have raised concern over insecurity. How ready do you think we are for this exercise?
Security is a major issue of concern, especially when you look at the level of attack on INEC facilities over the past few months. Now we are beginning to migrate from attack on INEC facilities to clashes and attack on politicians. Only a few days ago, the spokesperson of the coalition of United Political Parties, CUPP, Kenga Gochinyede, claimed that he was attacked by political opponents, having been threatened previously. And we have also had a few cases of attack on political opponents in some part of the country. But the most frightening is the attack on the INEC, which is the body responsible for the conduct of this election. And I think beyond the readiness of INEC and in the insistence of INEC to conduct this election, the government of Nigeria, I mean the president, must rise up and be categorical in promising that INEC have enough security to conduct this election and ultimately make it clear to perpetrators of violence that they will not get away with this. A lot of these are happening because as we speak, all the attack on INEC facilities in the last few months, nobody's in court, nobody's been prosecuted. There have been no major arrests. And it tells you that perpetrators can continue to do this. And this will have a negative impact on our election. And that is why the government of Nigeria must come out categorically to strictly warn perpetrators of this attack on INEC facilities, because we have seen a situation where INEC officials have been murdered in the course of voters registration. INEC facilities have been attacked. Now, officials will not feel secure to conduct election under the atmosphere that their security cannot be guaranteed. So the government of Nigeria must be categorical in coming out not only to denounce this consistent attack on INEC, but to also warn and bring perpetrators to book even before the elections.
Right. Thank you very much, Olufemi Lawson, for your contribution to this topic. Thank you for coming.
It's my pleasure.
Right, let's now move to our final story for tonight. The Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, NSCDC, confirmed earlier in the week that 7 of its personnel, alongside 5 other persons, were ambushed and killed at Kuriga mining site, Benin Gwagiri, local government area of Kaduna State. NSCDC Director of Public Relations, Olushola Odumoshu, added that the 5 others were from a sister security agency and local vigilance group. He said that one of NSCDC personnel escaped the attack with injuries and is currently undergoing treatment. Odumoshu said that the attack, which occurred on Monday, was unfortunate and a big loss to the Corps and the family of the deceased, according to reports. The attackers scattered away with rifles of the slain operatives, while the remains of the officers and men had been deposited at Baru Diko Teaching Hospital in Kaduna. I still have Niyi Salio in the studio, while Editor Security Digest Chidi Omeje joins me now via Zoom. Good evening, Mr. Omeje.
Good evening, and compliment of the season.
All right. So it is now one bandit attack to too many, leading to the loss of security personnel. What do you think, or what do you make of the country's fight in winning the war against terror?
Okay. Now the killing of these officers of civil defense, I think about 7 of them, and not just 7 of them. There are also about 5 other villagers, vigilante operatives that were killed. So about 12 of them were actually killed by these bandits. You see, the fight against banditry especially in Kaduna State, it's more of ups and downs. Sometimes you see, upscale of activities by the military guys, and of course, some of the time you see some downscales where the bandits equally take a pound. But generally, I want to say that the the fight against banditry in Kaduna State have been very successful, comparatively, because you discover that, just like what's happening in the Northeast, where the military been able to effectively, more or less decimate the terrorists. Now, but in Kaduna State, we see what we have seen right now is the, more like attack on soft targets, because the military guys, especially since the posting of the current GOC, General Labaja, he has been able to lead special forces to take the war to them. They no longer have time for problem negotiation and all that. He takes the fight to them, and for those guys, in order to let the world know that they're still around, would sometimes take on some of these soft targets, picking on civil defense and vigilante groups. So the good thing there is that the military guys are really up and well determined to make sure that they wrap up the fight. But we have to also understand some of the dynamics in this fight. The areas they are concentrating on, the Galbi area and the Bernongwari area, they have this kind of topography, like rocky terrain, something you can compare with Afghanistan, that provides the kind of perfect environment, sanctuary for their operations. So it's quite difficult for even the security men to assess. But in spite of that particular challenge, the military guys are still able to smoke them out. And then there's been a robust synergy between the ground and the air troop, and they've been able to take them up. And then I think we have to give kudos to the military guys right now in Kaduna State.
All right, Mr. Major, let me find out from you what you think that are some of the factors that make the cycle of banditry a hard nut to crack.
First thing to understand is that banditry, just like terrorism in Northeast, is asymmetrical warfare. You do not know exactly who these combatants are. There's no boundaries. They just spring up on you. So this is where the approach enunciated by, or rather popularized by the current Chief of Defense Staff, or the all of society approach comes in, because you are not able to identify exactly who the combatants are. So it's difficult for even the military guys to pick out who they are. So this is where communities and people around should be part of the whole process, to be able to see something and say something. And again, there's a need for us to actually increase the boots on ground, because it does appear that the military guys are more or less overstretched. They have a number of theaters of operation across the country, in the Northeast, in the Northwest, in the Central, Southeast.
Mr. Major, we are almost out of time. Let me just ask you this last question. We have election at hand, and I want you to just say in a few minutes how we can mitigate the issue of insecurity, especially as it concerns this election.
The first thing that comes to mind is the need for everybody to be part of this process. People must be able to provide accurate information at the right time, and also there's need for government to deliberately increase the boots on ground. They need to recruit more people, and then deploy them to the areas where they come from, because they should be able to be part of the community. And of course, like I said before, there's a need for everybody to be part of the process. Then, of course, again, there's a need for a robust synergy between and among the military, security, intelligence, and response agencies to work in coordination to be able to, nip these things and then be on top of the situation. That's just what comes to mind. But more importantly, there has to be the willpower. There has to be the political, agency from the part of government to be able to, carry out these initiatives and bring it to fruition.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Chidi Omeje, for your contribution in this topic. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. Let me find out from you just briefly what you think about this whole security in trying to have our election as a nation. How do we mitigate this whole thing?
Well, it's become a major issue now, so much that INEC has started to contemplate the postponement of the election. Well, the president has done so much, the government has done so much They've, invested in security. They've, almost every year they've changed commanders. They've tried to motivate people. They have involved local people, local vigilantes, and everything. Well, we will do more. Whether we like it or not, there are people who also provide cover for these people. Local people who also still provide cover for. They don't operate in isolation. So there should be more, and again, there has to be punishment. The greatest encouragement to crime is impunity.
Impunity.
Anyone who thinks I can get away with something will do it. There has to be repercussion for any act that is inimical to the progress of this country.
Right.
Two, the government also needs to make sure that nobody profits from this. The only profit any military officer should earn from this one is promotion out of exploits on the field. It can't be financial, it can't be material. So what I'm saying, in essence, is that the corruption in the military itself should be faced headlong. There's no reason why this one should prolong this way.
All right, Niyi Saliu, thank you very much, as always, for your contribution.